recording.
Welcome to On the Spectrum podcast. My name is Nick.
And I'm Steve.
And we are two human beings who do not presume to be experts in anything whatsoever. We're just two human beings who happen to be on the spectrum, and we happen to sit in front of each other. So, hi, Steve.
Hi.
So, today's episode, I wanted to, kind of ask Steve, because he posted a video, okay? One of the reels or shorts or whatever service you're looking at, but he posted a video about vaccines. And before anybody goes nutty about that, it was not like endorsing vaccines or the link to autism or the lack of link to autism or anything. But I really wanted to ask Steve outright, what brought you to make a video about it, considering so many people in the community outright deny it. We all know it's not true. We all know that. So Steve, what kind of prompted you to make that video?
Yeah. So when I posted the video on, it was TikTok. I posted it on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook Reels, and it got a lot lower amount of views than our videos normally do, or the Reels that I normally post, they usually get more views. I don't know what it's at right now, but let's say I normally get 1,000 or 2,000 views. Mm. It was at 60.
Yeah.
And I thought part of that might be the algorithm, because I had vaccines and autism together in the same, on the video as the hashtags. So I might have shot myself in the foot. But the reason I had brought it up, before I go into that, I think a lot of people might not want to watch the video because of what you pointed out. Right. If they see, it's a video about vaccines and autism, I don't even want to listen to that.
Right. I mean, literally straight up right on the front of it, the thumbnail itself says vaccines, autism, ?
Yeah.
I can only imagine the assumptions people are making about that.
So the reason I brought it up is because I was on Twitter the other day. We have a Twitter account. I started using our Twitter account more often. I've been posting our episodes on there and interacting with there's autistic and neurodivergent communities on Twitter. Although what I found out, if you go onto Twitter and you search autism, many of the top posts that come up are about vaccines causing autism. And I found out that some of that has to do with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the guy who's running for president. And he's a vaccine autism guy.
What?
Yeah. He believes that vaccines are, he believes that there's stuff in vaccines that harm us. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on Twitter about vaccines and autism. And so when I made the reel, I was actually trying to call out that people are sharing this stuff. So it wasn't like me trying to debunk it as though we've already heard it a million times that,
right.
Yeah. So it's not like it's something new. We know already that vaccines don't cause autism. However, I was bringing it up because of all the stuff on Twitter, and I was surprised how prevalent it is. So I have some stuff I can show you. This is one that I found that was being shared quite a bit.
Well, so before you start the video, I do want to point out, if anybody would like to go to our Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, you can see the video Steve made. Now, we do not endorse it whatsoever in the fact of we're not saying by any means that vaccines cause autism. Although if you take the quickest little view of the front of it, it almost looks like that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
And no, it's not. And yeah, it is one of our lower viewed videos, and I can kind of understand why. But let's find out this Twitter thing.
Yeah. So this one right here, this one is this one's not shared by a blue check mark, but a lot of them are. But this is the same video I had responded to this debunking this video clip.
Right.
But we can listen to it here. This is a video that's going around. A lot of people are sharing this.
How many children or people are totally unvaccinated? Is that where do you find? Is it just the parents that stepped up and said? I would think that's a very small percentage because so many of us blindly followed, the recommendations to vaccinate children.
Yeah, it's less than 1% of the public. So the Amish are a perfect example of a large group of people who are largely unvaccinated. And there's we can't find an autistic kid who was unvaccinated. It's very, very rare in the Amish community. Very, very rare.
I just really like the lady's reaction, the one right over his shoulder. He said, "We can't find an autistic kid in the Amish community." She's all like, we look, we can't find none. come on. Obviously that she's there because she supports this guy, whoever this guy is. But like, I don't know, the lady even behind her agrees with that lady and then with that guy at some point.
So apparently this guy,
just the notion.
this guy's an anti-vaxxer type dude.
Of course he is.
And if you look him up on Wikipedia, he comes up as a COVID-19 vaccine misinformation spreader guy. That's what he's listed as. Vaccine misinformation.
Dude who listens and believes in stupid shit. Got it.
So here he's talking about it. So I posted a study below this, the original tweet. I don't know what the original tweet is now, but whoever posted this originally, I posted under it. Because if you look at it, it says we can't find an autistic kid who was unvaccinated. Well, it's funny because I went on Google and I typed in unvaccinated autism.
Mm-hmm.
First study that came up was from Japan, where when they started taking the MMR vaccine, they actually did a study. The Japanese government temporarily banned the MMR vaccine, and scientists decided to study to see if there was a difference in the rates of autism. There was no difference. But I took that study and I shared it and under the original videos. So it's like, we can't find an autistic kid who is unvaccinated. There's plenty of unvaccinated kids who have autism. So that's fucking stupid.
Well, because there's a ton of countries where they don't have MMR. And if they do have it, not everybody has access to it. But when you have like a trained professional actually look at some of these populations or go to some of these places and hang out with some of these folk, you see a lot of autistic folk. And when I say a lot, I don't mean like, 60 or 80% of the population. I just mean you still see them, even in places that have like shit ass medical care.
Well, so that was the first one. I saw this video, I shared, I looked it up. I'm like, okay, well, I know I can easily debunk that. Let me find it. First study that came up. So it was like a 2-minute Google search. I found a study from Japan that is also, the study has been cited many times in like by the NIH and other groups.
Important people that would actually know.
But it was done, I believe it was funded by the Japanese government or something, but it was, it's a study that was done in Japan about vaccines and autism. They're saying, no, there was no rate and change. I put that in, I shared a screenshot of that study in my TikTok video.
Here's my question about autism, not autism, about the Amish. What Amish community is going to let you come in and do research and like evaluate their kids for autism?
I don't know.
What Amish community would let you do that?
One of my friends pointed out that the Amish have a lot of genetic issues, genetic health issues, because hereditary issues because of the fact that they interbreed so much. It's a small gene pool, right? You're not mixing with other people. So because they interbreed with each other so often, it sounds weird to say interbreed, but because they intermingle, they procreate within a small gene pool.
Because cousins fuck a lot.
They have a lot of hereditary issues. So it's funny that, oh, no, they don't have autism, but they just,
they don't have any other, what did he say at the beginning? Horrible diseases or something like that? Or is that later in the video?
ED, with autoimmune disease, with panda pans, with epilepsy. You just don't find any of these chronic diseases in the Amish. And, the U.S. government has been studying the Amish for decades.
You don't find any of those in the Amish, but you find a lot of other hereditary things. And again, when they go to the doctor, who do they go see? Do the Amish even go to the doctor?
I don't know.
Somebody once told me that you don't find cancer in the Amish. And that I don't know if that's true or not, but it always made me kind of question, like, would they actually find cancer in the Amish people? Because would the Amish even go to a hospital?
I don't know. There was another video too that I was looking for, if I can find it now. What we actually had covered some of this in the video we recorded that I fucked up.
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up.
It's okay.
So, everybody, we had technical issues when we decided to record the other day, which is why we had to put up the post updating everybody that we actually said by today we would have another episode posted, but we were trying to fix it. There were some technical issues going on. Actually, you couldn't hear me at all. So for some people who listen to the podcast, that might have sounded awesome to you. And for some people, I know you missed out. But we had some issues.
This is the other one here. So this is another one I saw going around.
Yeah, I really like this guy.
But it's similar.
It is.
So this is another one on Twitter there.
And going back to Vietnam, Vietnam doesn't have anything. There's no such thing as autism in 1975, year 2000, year 2001. There's no such thing. When Vietnam signed the WHO, and when Vietnam signed into the International Monetary Fund, the banking system, Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation introduced the vaccination program into Vietnam. Now Vietnam has over a 300% rise in autism.
Oh, there's the video. We talked about this before, and I really want to make sure I'm saying it one more time.
Yeah.
Because that does sound shocking. 300% rise in autism.
Well,
But again, if you diagnosed yesterday one person and today you diagnose 3, that's like a 300% rise.
Well,
Like,
here's the funny
come on.
thing. They didn't start until the 1990s. Autism wasn't even a thing you could get diagnosed for in Vietnam.
Right.
They didn't start diagnosing kids for autism. They didn't recognize it as a disorder.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons why kids didn't have autism, is because they didn't diagnose anyone with autism.
Right.
It doesn't mean that there was no kids in Vietnam that didn't have autism. But they're trying to say that Bill Gates is trying to make everyone autistic
Right.
or something.
Well, the interesting thing about it is almost all of these people cite correlation. Okay. They always cite correlative kind of information, right? They never actually cite anything for real. Like that other guy talking about, well, you never find it in Amish communities. Yeah, but people also wouldn't be tested in Amish communities for majority of the stuff that they just pointed out. This guy saying it didn't get diagnosed in Vietnam until the vaccines got there. No, it sounds like they got there in 2001, but they didn't start diagnosing until the 90s, which means most people didn't bring their kids to get evaluated for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in a lot of countries, actually, outside of the US, Canada, and Europe, most of the rest of the world, like they got bigger things to worry about than whether their kids have autism or not, right? Like there's a lot of things that wouldn't be. I mean, restless leg syndrome is something that's diagnosed here in the United States and other places too. But for the most part, restless leg syndrome is really kind of a us kind of thing. And most of the rest of the world, I can't imagine they're diagnosing a whole lot of people in other countries with restless leg syndrome.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, half the people in the United States don't believe it exists either.
Yeah.
So,
well, you have restless leg syndrome, so.
well, I do sometimes actually. Well, I don't know if I have restless leg syndrome. I just know I get restless legs sometimes when I go to sleep. And like they get all weird feeling and like as if I have to move them. Like there's this really bad urge in them to move. I don't know. If anybody else has that feeling, if anybody else has had that sensation on their legs when they're sitting down for a while or they're laying down to go to bed, let me know. Let me know if I'm not alone. I'm pretty sure I'm not.
I just think that we need to make sure we let everyone know that Bill Gates is trying to make all of the third world autistic.
Completely. Everybody in the third world.
If you join the WHO, your kids are going to have autism. That's just how it is.
If you join the World Health Organization.
Yeah. That's what they said, right?
Yeah,
WHO.
I know.
I wanted to find that clip of that doctor.
Which one?
The doctor who was talking about how vaccines don't cause autism.
Oh God, that was a great video too.
I should have had it ready, but you know.
You really should have. But anyway, I will say, like, I can't believe that it has been 30 years since that original douchebag put out a study that was, found to be false as shit, but yet he put it out. It's been like 30 years, I think, maybe even 40, maybe it was 30 years. I don't know when it actually was, but it's been a long, long time and people are still talking about it. And the interesting part about it is nobody has presented anything new of information. People just say, well, isn't it interesting that now we're seeing it more? Yeah, but people are also getting evaluated for it more. I mean, shit. Like, more people are getting diagnosed with cancer now, too. Oh, yeah, and everybody's got something to say about that one. Well, there's more chemicals in our food.
Well, I guess if you go on Twitter, you can help share some studies with these people who keep spreading all this misinformation. I'm just surprised that
They won't listen to it.
I mean, we thought that like people stop talking about vaccines and autism. I mean, for the most part, I think it's a small amount of people who actually think that.
And apparently they all live on Twitter.
But I didn't know it was a big thing on Twitter. And I think from what I saw, some of it might have to do with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's got like these weird ideas about food and certain chemicals that are in our food and in vaccines and in certain kinds of medicine. And
Oh,
yeah.
oh, well, good for him. And he's running for president.
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. He's related to the other Kennedys that were completely out of their fucking minds too.
I have no idea.
Okay. Because I think his dad was probably the only one that wasn't out of his fucking mind. Because his dad was the original Robert F. Kennedy who got shot after his father.
I don't know.
All right. He was big for civil rights.
Was he though?
What his dad was, I guess. I think he's the same guy. I don't know. And this is going to sound horrible, but if you've seen one Kennedy, you've seen them all. They all look kind of the same. You know, Teddy kills somebody. John F. Kennedy sleeps with Marilyn Monroe. I don't know why any of that had to do with anything. I don't know.
I just know that Nick didn't need Bill Gates to make him autistic.
I did not need Bill Gates. All I needed was my parents to have sex, and that made autism.
It runs in your family.
Sure.
Or maybe it's like diarrhea and it runs in your genes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's actually kind of interesting because up until I don't know, not a long time ago, but maybe 10 years ago, maybe somewhere around there. Didn't really know a whole lot about my mom's side of the family, and like she found out a lot more by reconnecting with people on Facebook and stuff like that. But like when me and her started thinking about, or when she first proposed the idea of like me being autistic, we didn't know that there was so much in our family of people who had bipolar, depression, anxiety, I think schizophrenia too, and autism was in the family. We didn't really know all that. I just thought it was kind of interesting. I mean, my son was first diagnosed when he was wee itty bitty.
So what do you think we should do to combat all this misinformation?
Well, I actually think that it should not be part of a fight for us to do anything about, honestly. I actually think that all of the misinformation against autism, yes, it can be hurtful to a degree, but I also think that we ourselves are actually doing more harm to our own community by not just fighting that, because that's something worth, fighting against the misinformation to a degree, but we in our own community are also telling each other, we're also invalidating each other. There's a large part of the community for autistics that, like, there's a lot of level ones that put down, demean, and almost ignore level 2s and 3s. Okay. And they're shouting for representation and shit, but you know what? You have more of a voice than level 2 and 3s do anyway. And I think fighting misinformation is good, but for us, we also have to all get on the same page with each other in the community. Like there are still people in the community who want to be called Aspies and Asperger's syndrome. And I saw a post somebody made on TikTok, because I unfortunately do our TikTok stuff a lot. And this young girl, she always talks about how outdated Asperger's syndrome, the term is, and how nobody uses it in the community anymore. There's actually a lot of people, and I'm not saying a vast majority of level 1 autists call themselves Aspie. I know I used to refer to myself as being Aspie and Asperger's syndrome, but there are still people who choose to identify that way. And like I said, the young girl on TikTok, she's always kind of saying, we don't use it anymore as a community. No, you and others that you agree with you don't use that term anymore and don't like that term. But there are still some people who find solace in that identity. Same thing with function language, right? Some people say, oh, it's just hurtful to our community. But there are people who find solace in it. There are people who feel better knowing that they have this label and can identify themselves in this. And why not support them in feeling better about who they are? Because at least they're coming to terms with being autistic. And it is something, especially with being late diagnosed, you have to come to terms with it.
Do you think it would be better well received if we changed the name to Rump Burgers?
Yes, I think rump burgers would be absolutely better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe bum burgers. It sounds
Yes.
funny, right? Tushy burgers.
I have anal burgers.
You motherfucker.
Anal burgers disease.
It's just good. So like when
Sorry,
it
it
comes
was
to,
actually a syndrome, right? Asperger's syndrome is
yeah,
what they
it was,
called
it
it.
was syndrome. Yeah, it was a syndrome.
What's the difference between a syndrome and a disorder?
Oh,
Shouldn't you know
God.
this?
I used to know the exact separation between the two. If I remember correctly, nope. Couldn't even fathom a way to try to piece that through, man. I mean, honest to God, most people couldn't tell you the difference between a syndrome and a disorder anyway. I mean, both of them are a cluster of behaviors that we kind of lump together and say, hey, if somebody has majority of these things, then this is the thing they are or have. Right. Same thing with cancer. It's same thing with the diagnostic criteria for cancer. When you hit certain, when they run certain medical tests and they find certain, things, they automatically go, well, okay, it's cancer. Same thing with all diagnostic criteria, and a syndrome and a disorder both have diagnostic criteria to them. And no, I don't want to go into validity of diagnostic criteria for behavioral fucking shit. But going back to what we were talking about though, like were you just flashing our new cup to the screen? Yeah, you were. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to point this out. I was going to save it till later, but I'm going to do it right now, and then we'll get back on topic. So, Steve has a partner, and this partner was so nice and supportive for us that this person decided to get us on the Spectrum coffee cups, which, because I'm a shameless promoter, I'm going to do my promotion thing. You too can own on the Spectrum coffee mugs and support our mission to get information out there and to have others understand the experience of autism. But you can go to our Facebook page and you can order any kind of merch you feel like, maybe a t-shirt. You want to promote the fact that you're on the spectrum and, well, you listen to our podcast. But I thought it was quite nice that his partner decided to get us these cups for the show. I thought it was kind of awesome. It makes it look a little bit more professional, doesn't it? That's great. Anyway, back to topic.
You don't want to know the weird train of thought I just had.
Probably not.
I was thinking, for some reason, what you were talking about with autism experience, it made me think of the Jimi Hendrix experience. And then it made me think of, like, what if our show was called the Autism Experience? And then we could do cups with, like, a Jimi Hendrix album cover, but, like, Are You Experienced? But it's autism. I don't know. That's me connecting a bunch of stupid dots in my head that don't need to be connected.
All good, man. You know what I'm going to say to that? Tism.
We also have Jean-Luc Picard chilling in the corner there.
Yeah, Jean-Luc right above my head. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just bought this table. We just got some of the soundproofing stuff that you can see in the background. We got more on the other side too, but we just set it up because, we've been doing this for a little while. So we figured we might as well make it look a little bit more like we're doing a podcast.
I'm sure people care.
Well, somebody has to. Actually, I know full well my mom listens to this stuff, so I'm going to have to say, Mom, I'm pretty sure you care. So look, we're making it look real. Nice. Anybody ever watched any of our previous episodes? And I'm hoping you've watched all of them. But if you watch some of the other ones, you'll see usually the camera was like across Steve looking at me. We decided to kind of do it this way instead, which does look better, don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I suggested.
I know this is actually the entire thing is your idea.
Autism. Watched a film the other day.
Oh yeah, what'd you watch?
It was called Temple Grandin. Never seen that before.
Star that amazing person by the name of Claire Danes?
It does. I'd never seen it before. I think it's on HBO.
Yes, it is, because that's on my watch list for tonight.
HBO. So I gave it a watch. I'd never watched it before, and it was a pretty good movie. I don't know how people who are like how I guess and I don't know if it's good for everybody or if I'm just saying that because I'm on the spectrum.
Yeah, because you can identify some of the ways she
Right.
behaves.
But I mean, from what I understand, though, it's an entertaining movie in general for anybody,
Right.
and it's inspiring.
Yeah.
It tells a story of not her whole life, but a good chunk of her life. But yeah, it was good, and I watched it also because we have we're actually meeting with Temple Grandin this Saturday.
This is called a segue. And sir, that was so subtle.
Yeah.
That was you walked right into that one. That was nice. That was nice.
Well, it's true. So I mean,
yeah, we are actually interviewing her on Saturday.
Yes, which should be hopefully much more entertaining than this right now.
What are you talking? Why are you pointing that out while we're all we're recording currently and you're pointing that out? Although I actually do appreciate, and I am going to point that out. I don't want to reinforce that behavior, but I'm going to it anyway. I actually do appreciate that you brought that up because we're making this conversational, and I really like that. I actually don't want this to be too
I hope that people who are listening,
Yeah.
I don't want them to, if anybody's listening right now, which they're not, but they will after I post this, if they're going to lose interest when we start talking about too much personal stuff. So,
no, I mean, honest to God, this is about lived experience. It's about me and you and our opinions about things. And weirdly enough, there's enough people who've been listening that they kind of dig what we do. So anyway, the temple thing, I will say I did do a couple of posts on Facebook. I did one on Facebook and one on the Instas. Or was it 2 on Facebook? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I did a post on Facebook and I only got one response so far to it.
Yeah.
And the person basically just kind of wanted to ask Temple about something she said about procreation or something like that, or about us. And it doesn't fit into what we're going to talk about with her. But so I'm probably not going to use it. It was interesting that because initially the person said, "Hey, can I ask something provocative?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, whatever you want to do. Like, go ahead, say anything you want." And the person gave me like this big long thing. I mean, it's well thought out. Obviously, the person, and they weren't critiquing something she has said or whatnot, but wanted her to elaborate on kind of some of her opinions about. I don't know. I think parenting was involved or rearing kids or something. But we are going to talk to her. And what are you most interested to find out from Temple?
Well, I wanted to touch into I don't know how deep I want to get into this right now because we're going to talk to her on Saturday, but I really want to talk to, she talks about there's 3 different types of brains or 3 different ways of thinking primarily, and they overlap. But they're depending on how you think will affect what you can do in school and career. And that's kind of what she wants to talk about. And I'm kind of interested in what she would do to cater to different types of brains, different ways that people think.
I mean, the topic's going to be about education and employment, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually really interested to find out because she's a professional. She's a person that's been working for a very long time, even long before autism was ever included in the ADA. Yeah. And she's been working for a long time as a professor and stuff. I'm actually interested to find out how she's gotten along this, you know what I mean? How she's gotten through, because long before autism was ever counted under the ADA, long before bipolar, I mean, because that's something that I'm always interested in finding out, how did people survive prior to nowadays living with different things, mental health issues. I will want to ask her about that. How did you, prior to being able to ask for accommodations, how did you get through your day? How did you get through having your meltdowns and burnouts and all of those kind of things?
Yeah.
And maybe she can offer some advice to me and you, because I know me and you at times kind of struggle with both those things.
Yeah, and I was really glad that she got back to us and she decided to do it.
I know, so quickly too. Yeah. It was great. Our little podcast, our happy dappy podcast, and yet she's going to be on it. Oh my God.
So I think we should do a poll this week.
Mm-hmm.
What's the new term for Asperger's? Because we can't use Asperger's anymore. It's offensive. So because the guy was a Nazi or something. So
Yeah, he was a Nazi doctor. I think you've got a good idea. I think you've got a great idea.
Aspie supremacy.
Unfortunately, far too many people in our community want to deny the levels of severity for people in our community. And one of the reasons why it's important to identify that is because then we can identify who actually needs help, who needs more support than another. And we need to be able to identify that, to be able to allocate funds for it, to be able to focus on what we need to focus on. But far too many people just want to say, well, everybody on the spectrum is different. And relatively speaking, we are. But there's got to be a way to identify needs and issues. You can't just say everybody individually, Well, I mean, I guess you can, but I think you've got a point there. Like, we need to be able to identify those people in that demographic of our community. So getting a new term would be a good idea.
I mean, I was saying it as a joke, but we can actually do it.
I actually think it would be a worthwhile idea.
It's we're gonna call it Skittles.
Skittles.
I have Skittles.
Taste the fucking rainbow.
I have level 1 Skittles.
Level 1 Skittles?
Yeah.
Is that the green ones or the red ones?
Well, I am excited about Baldur's Gate coming out because then I can finally get past level 1.
Okay. I've made the joke before. I think I've said it in an episode, but I'm going to say it one more damn time. The first time I read level 1, 2, and 3 autism, I kept thinking, how am I going to gain experience to get to level 3?
That's right.
And then I understood a little bit better what it meant. But still, I don't know. That's the language I'm having the hardest time wrapping my head around. Like, I really am.
Things evolve, Nick.
Language
changes.
Yeah. You can say evolve. I'm going to say people just don't want shit that makes them feel bad. And that's up to them to decide whether it makes them feel bad or not.
Well, I personally know that your daughter is very offended by the language we use. So
yeah, my daughter doesn't give a rat's fuck what people call her. And I love her for it. Oh, for those who have no idea, she's on the spectrum too. She's a level 2. And she doesn't care what you call her. In fact, she's probably not paying attention to you.
So she's gone past you. She has more experience.
Yeah, she has more experience in the world of autism than I do. That's why
Are
she's
there some new
2.
skills you unlock once you hit level 2?
Yes, I think one of those skills is power scripting.
Oh, okay.
Power scripting. That girl can script like all hell.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the what time is it? It's time for lunch.
No.
It's from the Bubble Guppies. And
what the fuck is a bubble guppy?
It's a cartoon. It's a kid's cartoon. Okay, it's a kid's cartoon. And they're like underwater, and I think
I
they're
thought she just
mermaids
liked
and
Peppa
shit.
Pig.
No, she loves an assortment of stuff. But anyway, on this one thing, she'll rewatch this one video, and it's a segment of a video, and this like adult character will say, "What time is it?" And all the kids will be like, "Lunchtime." Oh no, it's time for lunch. What time is it? It's time for lunch. And you'll hear Becky just walking down the hall saying that while her tablet is playing. So yeah, that happens quite often. Are you looking it up?
I was trying to find something.
Oh. Trying to hit on something important there.
I was still hoping I could find that clip.
I dinged my headset into the mic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Twitter is a cesspool of
Twitter,
vaccine information.
Come on, let's be honest though. Every single social media website has a section of it, a grouping of people that are not the best people in the world to listen to. And I will say, even in our own community, even on Autism Talk, well, I guess it's Autism TikTok, whatever, that community of people, there are some folks who
here we go,
are mean well, but are not doing. What the hell are we looking at?
This person, Liz Churchill, unofficial queen of the, what does that say? Economic Forum. World Economic Forum.
Of the World Economic Forum.
Yeah. All these people cause autism, apparently. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. There we go.
Is she serious? Is she serious?
She's saying all these people are responsible for autism.
Is that Fauci in the bottom corner?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, the COVID vaccine apparently or something. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah,
all right.
Here we go. Rain Man.
Yeah. So where are we going here?
Sorry, I was fixated on trying to find that stupid.
You really
Video track.
are. You are super focused on trying to find that one damn video. So
So-
when he finds it, he will post it either on our Facebook page, on our TikTok, somewhere. He will put a link up. And anybody who listens to this episode and you're like, I badly need to know what it is that Steve's all fixated on, you can watch it. Okay. And we will
Oh.
make sure you have that.
An old one from C-SPAN,
Oh,
vaccines and
Right.
autism.
okay. Okay. Is it just me or are all these people who are trying to fight the tism there? They all look like they got the tism. Honestly. Like that balding gentleman who just had the hair wrappy around his ears there. He can have the tism.
There you go.
Oh God. Oh God.
This is some grade A science right here.
No, it's not. It's fucking
Yes.
bullshit. 10 vaccines given to US babies. 1983 autism rates were 1 in 10,000. Yes, for a whole lot of social reasons. No, what are you doing? Go back up.
Oh, sorry.
I
This
actually
is-
want to read this fucking thing. What does it say? 36 vaccines? Oh, 36 vaccines given to US babies in 2008. Autism rates are 1 in 150.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I knew autism rates would be different than that. 2013, 46 vaccines given to US babies. Autism rate is 1 in 88.
I'm sure that the math there works out, even though there's a lot of other things that account for those differences. Even if those numbers are true,
Yeah.
the fact
There's so many things, dude.
they
There's so many.
diagnose differently nowadays.
Yes. I mean, it's been for like the last 15 years, there's been a little bit different of a diagnosis.
I mean, there's a reason why you and I were late diagnosed.
Yes.
That people didn't pick up on
I
it.
mean, straight up, in the 1980s, I was born in 1980 itself, right? When I was growing up, I would have never been looked at as somebody who has autism. Why? Because I'm a little bit more social. I'm a little bit higher masking, low support needs, I don't know, high functioning, Asperger's syndrome. But a lot of us weren't caught. Like a lot of us, not caught, a lot of us weren't diagnosed with autism until much later on because some of the milestone things they were looking for didn't happen for us. Or some of the quote unquote normal milestones for development happened for us.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little late, but not drastically late. And then some of the behavioral stuff they were looking for, and I do agree with some people in the community's critique of the what they're looking for, because a lot of what they're looking for is outward expressions, observable expressions of behavior. They're not looking for internalized stuff. And obviously
Yeah.
you can't necessarily look for internalized stuff. I mean, you have to be old enough to be able to communicate that. And some of us are not the best at communicating. I don't know if you knew that.
I'm great at communicating. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm going to say that's it. Because hold on, let me ask you a question, okay? Because this actually came up.
It's all
in-
of the heavy metals, man.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question because I just came across this on TikTok and it kind of threw me off a little bit. Is so somebody, and I don't remember exactly what video I was watching, but I was watching a video and the person actually said, we don't have social deficits as autistic people. We don't have social deficits. That's other people imposing that on us. We don't have problems or issues. And that, like, I don't agree with that statement because I do think that, you know, people in general who are autistic, we do have social deficits. And I understand that that might be from like an ableist point of view or whatever the fuck that actually means, that kind of point of view. But what do you think? Do you think autistic people do have social deficits?
I think for the most part, yes.
Yeah. Like I've never met somebody.
Depends on what you mean by deficit.
Well, yeah.
Depends on what you mean by autism.
Well, I mean, I
I play
would just,
semantic game here,
Yeah, exactly. Please do, because I love the semantic
but I
game.
would say by my definition, yes.
But even with the two of us, right? We
Yeah.
are both on the spectrum. We're both decently intelligent human beings. We are both decently educated human beings, relatively speaking. And the two of us have communication issues with each other. Like,
No, never.
and not just communication issues like any human beings are going to have when they first get to know each other. Like we've hung out and worked together and done projects with each other for 6.5 years now.
I think it's more than that, but
Okay. I'm going to go with chronologically. I can't tell time. But anyway, for a bunch of years, we've been working together and yet we still have a problem interpreting what the other person is saying at times.
Yeah, because you're wrong all the time.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So I just find it interesting because, like, this person was saying that no, we don't have social deficits because when we're with other autistic people, they understand us. And I gotta say, like, autistic people misunderstand each other. I mean, all people kind of misunderstand each other, but even once we get to know each other really, really well, we still misunderstand one another. Because I think it's harder for us to.
Those who want to.
Sorry.
Oh, that's the video. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll stop. Good.
No, so I apologize for being a dog on a bone.
No.
But I found this stupid. So this was one. The guy Steve Kirsch, who's this vaccine like misinformation dude.
Mhm.
He's sharing this, and he says, "Okay, they admit they can't say vaccines don't cause autism, but they say it anyway. It doesn't get any better than this." And he's saying it as though it's a win, or he's owning
Yeah,
them.
it's a
or
gotcha
burning them.
moment.
Although, if you listen to the actual video, this is hilarious.
Wait. Downsize that. I just want to point this out. There you go. Okay. So I just want to point this out that we were this Kirsch guy is the one who was talking about Amish people, and the picture directly below the one you're about to do is Amish people. I just think that's fucking hilarious. The coincidence of that. Anyway, let's go to the video.
The burden is now on those who want to show the connection to come up with evidence, rather than conversely, where good efforts have been made again and again and again with no connection. So no, it wouldn't bother me. And I think in the battle in the public arena, this isn't a fight about statistical significance. It's a fight about who's going to capture the ears of the doubters and the hesitators. And I think in that war, one has to say not just the bulk of the evidence, the preponderance of the evidence. I think you have to say there's no link.
Yeah, that's exactly, Allison's point is the right one. The scientific method, in the scientific method, you formulate a hypothesis, and that hypothesis is the null hypothesis. You can either reject it or not reject it. You can't accept it, which is to say you can never prove never, which is to say you can never really say MMR doesn't cause autism. But frankly, when you get in front of the media, you better get used to saying it, because otherwise people hear a door being left open when a door shouldn't be left open.
Right. I mean, you can't prove that Coca-Cola doesn't cause autism either, but we just don't happen to be having that particular fight yet. So,
I would love to be involved in that fight.
You're in a debate.
I think it's more so the new Coke caused autism. That's why they canceled it.
Yep.
They went back to the original recipe.
I think
Yeah.
you can
Yeah, it was
fairly
clear
say that
Pepsi.
after scientists looked and looked and looked throughout the world, everywhere, and didn't find it, it's probably not there. It's not. We're not in a situation where
It's not like there's one study. There's been multiple studies about it.
Like every year, there's pretty much a
You
study.
leave that door open and people run through it.
I mean, I don't know.
Of course they do, because every human being thinks they're fucking smart, even though most of us are not that really.
So I think it's funny that he did exactly what Steve Kirsch was sharing. He was saying exactly what the doctor was saying he was going to do, like leaving that door open, because you can never say you don't have any evidence to suggest that it proves autism.
Right.
So you can never say 100% it doesn't, but there's no evidence to suggest that.
Right.
But that's how science works.
There, in fact, is no evidence to support that it does, and yet there's a ton of evidence to support that it doesn't.
Or there's evidence to suggest that it doesn't really have that much of an impact, at least because of the studies that have been done where you show people who are vaccinated versus unvaccinated and the rates are the same.
And the rate, yeah.
But there's also the human element where a human being is doing the diagnosing, and the methods of diagnosing have changed over the years, right? So depending on, like, there's lots of kids who go undiagnosed. So do we ever know exactly how many autistic adults or kids are out there?
No, and we're not going to, especially when there are doubters. I mean, doubters to this actually prevent people from being diagnosed appropriately. Because, I mean, as of right now, so Steve, in this area, as of right now, there's only like 4 or 5 people who are actually able to diagnose autism.
Yeah.
And I've been told by several people in the area that, like, even when you ask your PCP for a referral for it, they're being denied. Even in this area. And we live in one of the states in the US where, like, we're as mental health friendly as possible. Like, we're one of the largest mental health, services states there is in the United States. And yet we still have a bunch of doctors who are like, meh. And part of that comes from the doubting of things. You know, part of that comes from, well, I don't think you would get any benefit from knowing. Well, but that's not up to you to decide.
Right.
You know?
Well, Nick, I appreciate you indulging me in watching this video again about Coca-Cola causing autism.
Yeah, I dig this video, actually. I think just kind of how glib this guy is. And he's like, look, I can't say never, but I have to say never. Right?
I'm saying it's irresponsible of them to not say that.
Right.
What he's saying.
Right. Because then you leave it open for somebody to be like, well, but a little bit. No, not at all.
So I will be more careful when I post things in the future on TikTok and on Facebook and on Instagram.
And I don't, and I've told you this before, like, I don't have a problem with the way you posted it. Well, I don't have a problem with the video itself. It's just the wording initially in that thumbnail. Probably
I
not.
didn't think people would necessarily have the reaction that they did.
Right.
So, but I was trying to shine a light on people saying all this stupid shit on Twitter.
Yeah. The interesting part about that is, like, it's not that you got a negative, reaction to it. It's that there was no reaction. Right. Yeah. And a lot of your videos, and you're absolutely right, majority of the ones you post of you giving some opinion or asking questions of somebody, most of them do pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's just that one has, like, I think it's 100 views on TikTok.
Right.
I think so. Hey, at least it's doing better than my Temple Grandin announcement.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, I think it's about that time.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
If you think Coca-Cola causes autism, let us know. I'm also working on batch 2.0 of the Autism Cure.
Yes.
It turns out that the positive effects were only temporary. Nick has started to revert to his old behavior.
I have started to eat glue yet again.
Yeah. No, it's not the glue I'm worried about, but
it's all the other things that's in the glue.
Well, we have the new batch includes Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Pepto-Bismol.
As it should.
There's some ground coriander in there.
There's always some weird shit you grind up in it. Didn't you put rose quartz in the first one?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
it's going to be very expensive because you need pure sapphire.
Yes, that's what it's going to be. It's just a way for us to make money, I guess.
And apparently soybean oil.
And soybean oil. Yes. Absolutely.
I've been seeing that study going around again, saying that soybean oil, and they're saying, oh, you can eat tofu and stuff, but soybean oil messes with your hypothalamus.
Did you see somebody's response to that? And I don't want to take long talking about this. Did you see one person's response to it on? I think it was on TikTok. I don't
know.
But their response was you can't spread these kinds of lies. Soybean oil does not cause autism. And somebody responded with, that's not what he said. And, like, come on.
It's somebody who just reads the title of the video.
That's it.
And doesn't actually. I put soybean oil causes autism ?
Yeah. Well, nobody saw the question mark there, guy. By the way, that's twice that you put a tagline and a question mark, and people misunderstood
I thought it would pique someone's interest, but apparently people just read it and don't actually listen to the video.
Well, of course not.
Because I didn't make this up. There was actually a study. But anyway.
No,
all right,
and you did. Please stick around for the next episode. Our next episode is with Temple Grandin. We are going to record it on Saturday. We're going to post it most likely on Monday, this coming Monday, which will be July 17th. Yes, July 17th. And we will post it that day or Tuesday or the day after. One of the two of them. But it'll be a really cool episode. We're going to talk about education. We're going to talk about employment. We're going to talk with Temple Grandin, who happens to have one of the probably biggest, most recognizable names in autism. And if you disagree with what I just said, you know what? Nobody else in autism has a movie named after them. She does. So, although that should probably not be my standard of big names in anything, but it is. So,
thanks, Nick.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Bye.